Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making Chinese braised shiitake mushrooms with boiled lettuce and baby bok choy. This is a vegan dish, and it's also a very famous Chinese New Year dish. You will need 16 dried shiitake mushrooms, half a head of iceberg lettuce, 10 baby bok choy. For the sauce, you're going to need 4 tablespoons of vegetarian oyster sauce, 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of ginger, 2 green onion, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. So I've got a little knob of ginger there. I'm going to wash it. I don't actually have to peel it this time. It's just to flavor the braising liquid. So I'm just going to cut it into 3-4 big slices. It won't be part of the dish. It'll be just in the braising liquid. Okay, I've got 2 green onions here. That's also for flavoring the braising liquid, so it doesn't have to be cut nicely at all. It's just going to be cut into 3 or 4 big pieces. First I'll take the roots off. Okay, I've got 16 dried shiitake mushrooms that I soaked in water overnight. So you need to soak it at least 16 hours. Preferably 24 hours is best. So I just used room temperature tap water to soak it in. This is what the dried shiitake mushrooms look like. So you have to soak that in liquid both 16-24 hours before you can use it. So they all have stems on them. You're going to have to cut the stems off before you use it. The stems are hard and they're not edible. You can save them if you want for making soup stock. Otherwise, you can just throw them away. Yeah, so that stem, it has to be cut off. Okay, so I cut off the stems on all 16 mushrooms. So they're ready to use. So that's the liquid that I soaked the mushrooms in. You can save that and use it for the braising liquid. It gives it more flavor. Most Chinese chefs will use the liquid from shiitake mushroom braising. Most cooks will use the liquid that they soak the shiitake mushrooms in for cooking. Okay, so I've got 10 baby bok choy. This is a Shanghai bok choy. I'm not going to cut them. I'm going to wash them and use it that way. Okay, so I got half of a head of iceberg lettuce. I'm going to take the outside leaves off because they're not edible. They're kind of dirty. So I'm going to cut the half head into 4 big pieces in like a cross shape. Okay, so I want to separate the layers so when I throw it in the water for boiling, they'll cook faster. Okay, I have the wok on high heat. That soaking liquid from the shiitake mushrooms, I'm going to pour that in there and use it for the braising liquid. And then I'm going to fill the wok up to half full with more water. So this is a pretty famous dish that's usually served around Chinese New Year. It can be made using chicken stock to boil the mushrooms in, and they can use like real oyster sauce, but this is the vegetarian version, so I'm using vegetarian oyster sauce, which is actually made from mushroom extracts. It's not made from oysters at all. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of the vegetarian oyster sauce. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. I think in the traditional recipe they use rock sugar, but white sugar is just as good actually. Okay, so we're going to add the green onion and the ginger. So that's going to be boiling in the braising liquid to give the mushrooms flavor. And give that a stir, mix the sauces into the water. And then I'm going to add the mushrooms to that. So it's been boiling for maybe 15-20 minutes now. You can see it's at a full boil. You can either cook this on medium heat or high heat. If you cook on high heat, it'll go a little faster. Braising Chinese mushrooms can take between 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So as you can see, the water's gone down, so I added some more water. You want to make sure that the mushrooms are covered with water. You don't want the liquid to boil so badly that all the mushrooms are exposed above the surface. Okay, so it's pretty much done. It's been an hour boiling on high heat. So I'm going to remove the mushrooms. I'm going to leave the green onion and ginger pieces behind. Yeah, so it takes between 30 minutes to an hour and a half to cook the mushrooms at either between medium to high heat. If you cook at high heat, if it's really small mushrooms, they can be done in 30 minutes. If it's like big ones like these, it'll take about an hour. So even though it's boiling, you're gonna have to keep an eye on it because if the liquid boils, it'll burn, and you don't want that. So you want to keep an eye, like check on it every 5-10 minutes, and if the liquid gets low, you should add some more water. Okay, so that braising liquid, I'm going to actually strain it through a sieve to get the green onion and ginger out. Now I'm going to boil the lettuce now. So I'm going to fill the wok about half full with water. I washed the wok first, and then I added wok up to half with water. So while that's boiling, I'm going to get the cornstarch slurry ready. So I'm going to take 1 heaping tablespoon of cornstarch and put it into a bowl. And then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water to that, cold water. Okay, so the water is coming to a boil. I'm going to put all the lettuce in there now. So you want to give the lettuce a quick blanch. You don't want to boil it until it's soft. You want it to be cooked but crispy at the same time. So it'll be like a quick blanch, maybe 2-3 minutes after it comes to a boil again, once you've added the lettuce. So let the bottom boil for about a minute or two, and then turn it over so the top part goes down to the bottom and the cooked part comes up to the top. And as it boils, it'll shrink too. It'll all eventually be immersed in the water. Yeah, so there you go. It's shrunk. It's 3 minutes has passed by. The lettuce is shrunk, and it's changed color. So it's actually ready to take out. So I have a glass Pyrex pie plate that I'm going to use to serve this dish with. So I'm going to use a slotted spoon to strain the lettuce, and I'm going to place it on the bottom of the pie plate. So notice it's not overly cooked. It's been boiling for maybe 3-4 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna drain the liquid that's collected on the bottom of the pie plate because you want it to be as dry as possible, so when you put the sauce in there, it's not going to be diluted. Okay, yeah, so there it is. It's sitting on the bottom of the pie plate. Now I'm going to add the baby bok choy. So you notice that the bok choy is kind of well above the water, but when it comes to a boil, and you turn it around so the bottom part comes to the top and the top part goes to the bottom, it'll all eventually be cooked. And it'll shrink as well when it gets cooked, so it'll be more immersed in the water in about 3-4 minutes. Okay, as you can see, it's been cooking for 3-4 minutes. It's shrunk, so it's all more sitting in the water now. So you want to turn it around, make sure that the parts that have been on the surface get turned over so it's sitting on the bottom now. So the bok choy, like the lettuce, will take maybe 3-4 minutes to cook. So you don't want it overly cooked, you don't want it soft and mushy, you want it to be kind of crisp and firm. So this is the traditional way to lay out baby bok choy on a serving plate, especially in Cantonese restaurants, when they're serving either braised mushrooms or say half a chicken that's been cut up, and in the center of the plate they'll put the bok choy, the baby bok choy, around the outside like that. And you can only do this with baby bok choy. You can't do it with the full-size ones. They're like that. So it's actually quite pretty the way it's laid out. Okay, now we're gonna make the sauce for the shiitake mushrooms. So the sauce that we strained from the braising liquid, we're gonna make 1 cup with that. So if you put in a cup and there's more than 1 cup, just use 1 cup of the liquid. If it's less than 1 cup, just add water until it makes 1 cup. Because to thicken the sauce, you need 1 cup of liquid for the 1 tablespoon of cornstarch slurry. Otherwise, if you use more than 1 cup of liquid, it's going to be not a gravy, it's going to be wet. And if you use less than 1 cup, it'll be too thick once the cornstarch has been added. Okay, so the sauce is being added to the wok again. It's come to a boil. So I'm going to add the cornstarch slurry to it to thicken it up. I'm going to stir it around. Make sure the gravy is all thickened. And then you add the mushrooms in there. You want to give that a stir. Make sure the mushrooms are well coated in the sauce. And then you're going to transfer it to the middle. You're going to transfer it to the middle of the pie plate. So this is a very pretty presentation. As you can see, why it's very popular at Chinese New Year dinners. So you want to take some of that sauce and pour it over the bok choy so it has some flavor. And the rest of the sauce can go over the shiitake mushrooms. So it'll go down and it'll flavor the boiled lettuce as well. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? So that's braised shiitake mushrooms with boiled lettuce, iceberg lettuce, and baby bok choy. This is a vegan recipe, and it's also a very classic Chinese New Year dinner dish. Okay, bon appetit.